But mankind won't be destroyed. The fact that you and I are working here today is evidence of that.
Howdy, everybody. Welcome back. It has been a long time coming to do another one of these streams, so let me know if I am coming in loud and clear. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Hopefully you guys can see me. I'm going to be doing a little bit of live painting today and answering some of your questions for about the next hour or so. So we're going to have a great show. Let's say hello to some people in the chat here. Edwin, how you doing? Trell, how you doing? Mason, howdy. Welcome, guys. Welcome. It is going to be a good show today. We'll go ahead and wait a little bit for everybody to be able to join us. I'm excited. Beautiful Friday here on the south side of Chicago. Had a very productive meeting earlier for an upcoming project next month that I am really excited about. That went good. You can clear and you can see you. Very good. Nick, how you doing, man? Colorways, howdy. Thank you, Steady Hand. So I'm going to be taping up some shoes. We will be doing some of the preliminary stages for laying down some color on these dunks that I have here. I have this pair of SBs. I can't remember if these have a nickname or whatnot. Maybe you guys know. Are these called like the reverse yin yangs or something like that? Anyways, perfect out shoe for this project. I'm doing a Simpsons themed pair. And I love that we had these gum outsoles because I'm pretty sure, I want to say I double checked, but I believe those Marge Simpson Dunk Highs have a gum outsole as well. And this pair is going to be somewhat in the same vein, but we're doing a Bart theme on these. Let's see. Nick here says, just in time, I'm doing a custom Air Force One mid. I've removed all the swooshes and straps and leather filled. What a tedious process. Yeah, not kidding. To get that, all of those pinholes filled and, you know, that entire quarter panel looking nice and smooth again, that isn't very fun. No doubt about that. Artistic Slim, how you doing? What's everybody working on today? Are you guys working alongside me? You guys got any cool projects that you guys are currently doing? Here in a second, I will show a pair that I finished recently. I was working on them on an Instagram Live, I think a week or two ago. It's actually a Captain Underpants theme, and I'm really stoked with how those turned out. I'm gonna grab those here shortly, show you those, and that might be either next week's video or the week after, depending on it's currently being edited with our editor Ayana, who might jump in here. She might be talking. She always joins these lives, but that video is being worked on now. Let me go ahead and grab these. So we've got the Turbo Toilet 2000 on one of them. I did this dot pattern that I think turned out pretty cool on the toe box on both shoes. I kind of did like a vignette around it. Definitely not being captured quite as it looks on the camera here with the lighting and everything. But in like a lot of the backgrounds on a lot of the books and stuff, there's a lot of this dot pattern and these like sort of cosmic rays type look. So that's what's on the quarter panels. Got the dot pattern from his cape for the swooshes. And let me show you the other shoe. Professor Poopy Pants. And you can see some of that dot pattern there on the toe. But yeah, really dig how these turned out. This pair was a lot of fun. And my son's gotten really into Captain Underpants and Dogman in the last 6 months or so. So it was a lot of fun showing him those and asking for his suggestions on the mock-up and all this stuff. And he's starting to get a kick out of this whole thing. And he's hooked on um, customizing shoes for himself. He's probably already done, I don't know, just in the last 2 months or so, he's probably made himself like 5 pairs of white slip-ons, and he'll just do whatever his favorite thing of the week is. So he did like a Deadpool and Wolverine for his birthday. He did like a Fortnite themed pair. Just the other day, he did a Simpsons one. He loves the meme of Homer Simpson going in the bushes, so he did that on one of the shoes, and then something with a donut on the other. So he's getting a kick out of it. It's awesome to see. Let's see. You guys are saying what you're working on here. Artistic Slim says, I'm doing a Black Lightning custom and a Toby and Dat tribute custom. I'm not sure if that's supposed to say Kobe or Toby and Dat, and I'm just not familiar with what that is. But very cool, man. Sounds awesome. Steady Hand says, I'm doing Sonic versus Shadow. That's sweet. Cool theme. Trell here says, I'm finishing up a Danny Phantom pair. That's a throwback. I don't know if I've seen a pair of Danny Phantom shoes before. That's cool. Nick says, the swooshes have a slight imprint and panels are cut out and have to be filled. My son is asking me to do a TMNT custom, and I have a spare Air Force One made. Remove swooshes for more space. Yeah, you know, when you're working on sometimes just on Air Forces, you wish you just had a little bit more blank space rather than needing to work across all of those different panels. It's tough. Looking at your hat, my buddy son is your new shortstop, Jacob Amaya. Awesome, man. Yeah, got the opening day start yesterday. That's very cool. That's very cool. I'm not sure where we picked him up from. I don't know if he was in our farm system or maybe if he was in one of the trades or anything. But that's awesome. Did solid yesterday. The M&M lows you did were insane. Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, we just posted a new video on Wednesday with a pair of I did a pair of M&M recovery dunks, and I went and did a little photo shoot for them. Go ahead and check out that video if you guys haven't already. I really wanted to film just a walkthrough of our sneaker photography guide, and it had just been on the docket for a while, and I was like, you know what? I didn't necessarily have a tutorial or something that I was talking about with the painting process for that pair, but I was like, you know what? I think this pair would be really cool to go and capture photography wise in multiple different settings. So I was like, you know what? I think this pair is perfect to help film a walkthrough with that guide. So if you haven't checked out that video, make sure you do. And of course, if you haven't downloaded our free custom sneaker photography guide, make sure you guys check it out. Chad says it came from the Astros. Okay, cool. Cool. Yeah, it looked good yesterday. We'll take it. 1-0, man. After last season, we need anything we can get. So, you know what? Let's go ahead and start getting these taped. Let me know here in the chat. Do you guys prefer me to go like this? Do you like this sort of look? Do you want me to just tape the shoes while I'm here like this? You know what I mean? Or do you guys like sort of the split screen deal? Let me know, and we'll stick with that. I'm going to be taping up another pair of shoes as well. First pair here, we are doing a Simpsons theme. And then the next pair, I'm going to be doing this one is going to be a USA men's basketball theme. I'm a smidge disappointed that the outsole is so it looks even more orange on camera than it is. I think the colorway is called like chili red or maybe fusion red. It'll still work, but I wish it was more of a darker red for the theme, but it'll be okay. Let's go ahead, start getting these taped. Can you move your screen to the top left? It's blocking the chat. Okay, yeah, let me do that. I can make myself pretty small there too. Let me zoom in on me a little bit. How's that? Let me know if that works for you guys. I don't want unless you guys like some of the tape noises. I don't want to do it too loud. I know whenever I'm just filming YouTube videos, it's funny how loud the tape actually it is. It always really peaks the mic. M&M art style works beautifully with your style. Thank you, man. Yeah, it's really cool. After I posted the Without Me dunks, somebody messaged me right away and just said, "Hey, I'm a huge M&M fan. I love how those turned out. Would you be open to doing something for his Recovery album? It's my favorite album of his." And I was that's just always like that's essentially best case scenario for you where you're posting a project that somebody likes and then they say, can you do something similar for me but new? You know what I mean? At least for me, that's what I enjoy. I always love doing new stuff. A lot of my work is primarily one of one. So when somebody sees something that they like and then they say, here's how I would like something different, my own one of one, that's like best case scenario, you know? Looking at those, I'm def getting some of this tape and vinyl you use. Yeah, it's the good stuff. Once you find what works for you, you really just don't have a ton of reason to switch. So, I mean, like, I've used the same tape and setup for years. I mean, if you go back and watch some of our older videos, you're going to see a lot of the same stuff. Let me make sure I get it right. Senrico, hopefully. Senrico Custom says, "Hey, I've been following you for a long time and I've learned a lot from you. You're the best. You are very humble and the best instructor. I want to thank you for all that I've learned from you. God bless." Thank you so much for those very, very, very kind words, Enrico. Definitely does not go unappreciated hearing things of that nature. So really appreciate your kind words. First time I think I've seen you here in the chat, so welcome, welcome. If this is the first live stream you've caught. I when I was setting up the live stream today, just like in the YouTube dashboard, all of your lives have their own sort of page, and when I was looking at that, it had said that the last time I went live was over a year ago. So crazy, crazy. Don, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. King Omar says, I have 2 questions. I might hopefully have 2 answers for you, so let them rip. King. They released some Simpsons Dunk Lows a year or 2 ago. I forgot what color the cup soles were, though. Let me see. Let me know, Nick. I'm trying to think. What did the Simpsons dunks? I might have to look them up. Let me look them up. Simpsons dunks. It was a pair of SBs or what? Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, these are the pair I'm doing is pretty similar. Oh look, yeah, this photo here has the marges too. Yeah, so the marges do have that gum outsole. I love that. I love that. But yeah, the homers, that pair's got to be from the mid 2000s. The marges are probably mid 2000s as well, right? That pair's probably like 08ish. If I had to guess, gold box era. Yeah, gold box. So gold box is I think 08, maybe 07. And then silver box for the homers. What's that? Is that 06? Those are we're approaching 20 years old on those. And then those Barts. Yeah, I remember seeing the Barts. The pair I am doing is in the somewhat same vein as those. Okay, let's see here. Tony, not a problem. We'll get to you, man. You will get to you. Let's see. Let's go here. Tony says, I'm doing some LV cleats for a high school team. How much should I charge? Just getting started, and I don't want to underprice my work and or overprice, even though I consider my work to be professional. Okay, so this is a very, very hard question to answer without more context of knowing what the design looks like itself. Of course, just in general, an LV design. I can sort of picture that. But how many pairs are you doing all at once? Are you able to potentially do 20 or 30 pairs all at one time during a week? Because that would significantly cut down on your time if you could batch everything together. But just very generally speaking, it's high school students as well. So do they necessarily have the same money that maybe pro athletes have? Probably not. So without knowing more, I'm just going to give a very general ballpark of what I would probably expect a high school level athletes to pay. I'm gonna say somebody here said minimum 100. Chad said that, which is great. Let's pull that up here. I would say I 1000% agree that if they were expecting to pay under 100, I would say then you're definitely undercharging. I would say on the high end, where do I think would be the cutoff point that probably a lot of people would not be able to afford? Just generally speaking, high school students may not even have a job yet. 300 is going to be on the high end, so somewhere between 100 to 300. Um, okay, so Tony gives us a little bit more context here. Says I was doing 30 an hour and they should take me about 8 hours. So that's very simple, basic math. That's $240 a pair. That's, I think, a fair price for them to pay. I think that's a fair price for you to make. Um, if you're able to potentially do them in huge batches, that's where you can really start to save time. If you can prep all 20 pairs at once, you'll really save a lot of time. If you can do all of the stencil cutting, stencil making, stencil laying at once, you're going to save a lot of time. You know what I mean? I am huge, huge, huge on batching stuff together. Um, Sometimes you like just learn things randomly throughout life that sort of always stick with you. And the first job I ever had was actually at an orthodontist. I did like like just a lot of cleaning around the office and cleaning of the instruments and stuff. And anyways, the boss was really big on sending out like physical mailers to people to promote the business and all this stuff. And inside the mailers, there would be like multiple things. And I just remember him telling me rather than going and doing the entire mailer, that let's just say it had uh 8 things inside of there. You had to put a flyer of this, a flyer of that, a toothbrush here, little this, little that. Rather than doing all of that at once and then being done with one mailer and moving on to the next one, he would tell me set up 20 mailers right in front of you and throw all the flyers in, all of flyer number 1 into all 20 mailers, then grab flyer 2, throw all of those into 20 mailers, then grab all the toothbrushes, throw them into 20 mailers, and try to just batch your task together so that you have less wasted movements. I have no idea why. It's such a weird story, but it's always been burned into my brain, and it's something that I always apply to painting shoes as well. So like right now, even something as basic as I'm gonna try to tape multiple shoes together. You know what I mean? And just so there's less wasted movements of me needing to then put my tape away to clean up my area and then pull the tape back out when I need to do another pair in another couple days or something like that. Always just batch stuff together whenever you can. So, okay, I fell way behind in the chat. We'll get back to some more stuff. Let me go ahead and apply this tape here. And I'll get back to you guys. Don't worry. Feel free to ask your question again if I missed you. I will definitely try to get to as many people as possible. Super chats, of course, always welcome. We will, of course, be getting to those and prioritizing those. But thank you guys for hanging out with me on this beautiful, beautiful Friday. I think it was supposed to get up to like 76 here in Chicago today. Starting to get some of that nice spring weather. Okay, let's catch up a little bit. How do you size this? How do you? Sorry, excuse me. How do you size the stencil to fit it on the shoe? So what I do, King, is let's say right here, you see where we have kind of some of that gray leather. What I'll do is, let's just say I was trying to put a name there. I'll go ahead and measure it and grab my ruler and hold it up to here and say, okay, I want my text to be 2 inches wide, and then I can input that into my stencil cutting software. So I'll just quite literally measure it. Coyle says, do you think Nike resale world being flipped upside down has had any effect on your business? Great question, Coyle. It's funny. Over the years, I have started to use a lot more standard, basic, everyday shoes, like quite literally all white dunks that you can always buy at any time, or this is just a very simple GR. Whereas when I started out, I was primarily doing, nobody was customizing Air Forces 10, 15 years ago. a lot of people weren't doing as many dunks. Like everybody was customizing LeBrons and Jordan 3s, Jordan 6s, Jordan 7s, whatever the Jordan of the year was. And so it was a little bit harder to find and more expensive to find the base shoes then. Whereas now, like the base shoes are just a little bit more common, it seems, within the sneaker customizing space. If I just had to roughly guess out the numbers, I think more people are using your simple white Jordan 1s, your simple all white Air Force 1s, finding just very common base shoes like this. So I don't think it has had a huge impact. I would say that in the last couple years, I have been surprised how cheap sometimes I can find certain base shoes, thankfully. Um, Even just for example, I have another pair right here. Let me grab them. Here's a pair I have to do next week. Just I can't remember if these Jordan 1 lows have a nickname or not. Can't keep up with everything, but just a white and black colorway. And I think I found these on DTLR's website for like 59 bucks. Way below retail, like on their website, you know? So I don't know if there's just a ton of inventory. I don't know what it is. Like I have definitely kept up a lot less with the reselling space and sort of current values of shoes and everything. I'm just not buying and selling as much as I did when I was a little bit younger. So I'm not as up on it. But yeah, thankfully I have been able to find some better priced base shoes. I will say that. King has another follow up to his question. So we talked about sizing the stencil on the shoe. Can you hand sew back on the Nike logo on the shoe instead of using a machine? Are you talking about the swoosh if you were to take that off? To be honest with you, I don't know because I don't sew at all. I've never sewn anything in my life. I need to learn. But I don't know. Can anybody else in the chat answer this question for King Omari? Maybe at him, and I can try to pull it up as well if you at me in it too. I'm not sure if maybe a swoosh. Again, I know nothing about sewing, so what I'm saying is completely guessing. But I'm not sure if maybe a swoosh is too thick for you to hand sew to get a sewing needle through. I don't know. Leaderboard, how you doing, man? Alive on a Friday? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Nick here says, "Hello, I'm a big fan. You are a true inspiration, and thanks for sharing your talents with the world." Nick from Ireland. Very cool. Tuning in from Ireland. That's awesome to see. Kevin says, "That's my funniest question is how for a pair?" Kevin, let me know if you're asking me how much for a pair, or if you're saying that's the funniest question that you get, how much for a pair. Kevin here says, "I say minimum to touch a shoe 115. That's the logo and number." Yep. Yep. You don't want to go too much below that. Can totally understand. Nick says, "Making good quality customs takes a long time, many hours. Most people will be priced out. You have to target a slightly older audience." Yep. No doubt about that. I charge 300 to 400 for most full restorations even. That's awesome. Nick, I'm going to have to I'm always looking for a good person to recommend for restorations. So I'm going to have to start sending people your way cuz I know you do really clean work, and I don't take on restoration projects, so I'm always looking for people to recommend. Colorways with the super chat, 4.99. Thank you so much, man. Really, really, really appreciate that. Greatly appreciate you supporting the channel in that manner. Longtime supporter here. So Colorway says Nike is doing a huge sale on their inventory. They realize they overproduced on product. Get it while you can. Awesome. Hey, go ahead, check out Nike's website. You might be able to get yourself some good base shoes. That is good to know. Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes you might just find sometimes the right base shoe will spark some inspiration from you. You know what I mean? So sometimes it's a little different looking at, let's just say, an all white blank canvas versus looking at like what's that pair of Jordan 1 lows that are coming out? I think they're called the UNCs that I think are releasing this week. I think I saw, but they're, navy blue and Carolina blue, and sometimes maybe just a certain color outsole or a certain color sock liner can spark an idea for you to say, wow, I think that theme would work perfectly. Okay, we still got a ton to catch up on here. But Jones, good advice for everybody. Let's get this bread. Cannot go wrong with that advice. I hate flyers and mailers. I'm a mailman. That's funny. That's funny. Uh, BN says, I've seen people using vinyl stickers to put characters on a shoe. It doesn't seem like it would hold up. How does it compare to just painting your characters? I'm not sure if that's vinyl or if that's like a heat press vinyl. At the end of the day, I imagine that would it's possibility that if that were to scrape against something, that's a lot more likely to come up or whatnot. So heat press logos, heat press vinyl, like, or if it gets ironed on, things of that nature, that's always been around. It's always going to be an option. But it's just it's in a I think the best way to describe it is it's serving a different market. Some people are willing to pay more for when you're hand painting a character, you're creating a piece of artwork for somebody. And that's not to say that if you do an awesome Dragon Ball theme and then you just happen to heat press on the Dragon Ball logo or you heat pressed on a character, that's not to say that that no longer qualifies it as artwork. That's not what I'm here to say. I'm just saying it's a different type of artwork. Therefore, it comes with a different level of appreciation from a certain audience, which can come with a different price point as well. Okay, Nick here says I use stencils just to get the outline perfect for characters. Then I'll freehand the drawing inside the outline. That's what Serato does too. Yep, Serato has a real cool method with his like cutout stuff. Don says Nike Outlet's been hitting. Just got pandas yesterday for a base for $43. That's awesome. I think the best come up let's do a little story time, guys. Let me know the best come up you ever had on a pair of shoes. I got a pair of B grade True Blue threes from the Nike Outlets in 2011 for well below retail. So what would Jordan threes have retailed for in 2011? Maybe 150, maybe 160. I want to say B grade sold for a little bit less, so I just got an insane deal on them, and I remember being super stoked about those. But let me know what you guys. Let me know. Let me know some of your come ups on some shoes in the past. Beckham, how you doing, man? Good to see you, dude. Laditia, Laditia, hopefully I got that right. Excuse me if I didn't, but says, hi there, new to the channel, new to customizing. Your videos have helped. Thank you. That's awesome to hear. That's awesome to hear. Pa, pa, pa. Kevin says, I sent you a pic on Instagram of my latest project using a stencil to do a design. Do you want me to try to show them to the people just off my phone, Kevin? Let me know. We'll try to pull it out. Yeah, that looks awesome, man. Let me know if you want me to show them here. It might be for my eyes only, so let me know. And if you want, I'll just show them on my phone at least. Beckham, I'm going to show those if you don't mind. Beckham did his wait. Let me know if I can show those, Beckham, because that pair, I'd love to show some people. He said this pair that he did that he showed me earlier was based off the sole, and they turned out really cool. Kevin says, please. Okay, cool. Let's show him. Kevin's pair. It's got the World Champions logo there. When did the Blue Jays win it? What was that, 93 and 94? They went back to back, right? I wonder what players he'll put there. But yeah, those are looking sweet, man. Very good job. Very good job. Working on a matching glove. Oh, that's awesome, man. I love when you get to do another piece of artwork to match. I did my first glove last year. It was really cool. Let me guys show you this pair Beckham did. I think this is maybe his best work yet. Like, honestly, when you sent it to me, man, I had to zoom in because I was like, dude, that just kind of looks like a mock-up. Like, you really stepped up your photography too. Like this just, it's so clean that it looks like it could be a mock-up. Zoom in. I mean, dude, he crushed this pattern. How sick is that? but I love that gum outsole. I kind of can't tell because of the lighting, but I'm not sure if you aged the midsole. But it looks sick. But dude, come on, look at this. Like it's almost like a turtle shell looking pattern, but Beckham went crazy. Beckham's the homie, man. I've been knowing Beckham for probably about 5 years now, man. Been watching him since he was a young buck growing up here in the customizing industry. But a Jones says, by the way, Dylan, you're a real one. I've sent a few DMs on IG and you always replied. Thank you, man. I appreciate those kind words, and I try, man. I try to respond back to everybody. Um, I think it's just my way of trying to give back and hopefully be a resource that I wish I had when I started out, man. So did not age the soul. 50 hours. Holy smokes. Yeah, that's a long time. Blue Jays have great colors. They do. They do. 92, 93. That's the theme of the shoes. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and throw some. Let's get some of this green tape laid down on these. I need you guys to do me a favor, though. How many people we got here in the chat? 50 watching. How many likes do we have on the video? Let me refresh the page. Because right now, I'm not liking what I'm seeing. Right now, it says we only got 10 likes. We got 50 people in the chat. I need you to guys to go ahead. Drop a like for your boy. Let YouTube know you're digging the stream. Let's help spread the word. Go ahead, drop a like. Really, really appreciate it if you guys don't mind. I know I've mentioned this on a video before, but if you guys have never tried this, make sure I actually like to tape upside down so you guys can kind of tell from my viewpoint right now. I feel like I can sort of see the sole a little bit better. And it might feel a little weird at first, but I actually think it helps. So give it a try if you haven't done this one before. Nick says, Dylan, you don't like using the vinyl electric tape on cup soles. I used to use it, but the glue left behind was always a pain in the butt. I don't, man. I don't. You once you just find what works for you and gives you the best results, I think for most artists, it's best to just be stubborn and be like, you know what? I'm just going to perfect using this. And this method right here of this Pro Tapes crepe paper with this green Scotch tape, it is, I've just done it on literally thousands of pairs. So I just have it nailed down that I have no reason to need to try to switch tapes. But I love when some people love that Angelus Red vinyl tape, and I'm glad anytime anybody finds anything that works well for them. Do you think you can do another multi-layer example, but for the Raiders? I tried to do exactly what you teach us, but don't know how or where I mess up at home, or maybe I can DM you. Yeah, send me a DM, man. Let me know like where you ran into any trouble or anything like that, and I can try to take a look. Otherwise, it'd be hard for me to say, yeah, I'm going to make an entire video on doing the Raiders unless I just happen to, be commissioned to do a Raiders pair anytime soon. I don't think I've ever done a Raiders themed shoe. I've done some Raiders players, but I don't think I have. That's a hilarious comment, but cricket is for soccer moms. It definitely is. It definitely has a lot of the DIY moms adding vinyl onto tumblers and stuff. But I use a silhouette Cameo. What's the difference between blow drying and air drying the shoe? If you blow dry, you are speeding up the drying process and allowing less time, in theory, for the paint to actually cure to the shoe. So, when possible, it's not always a possibility for everybody, but you definitely want to let it air dry as much as possible if you can. But yeah, there's tons of your favorite artists, big time artists, professional artists that use Cricut. So you just find whichever one you start with, just master it, and you'll be able. They both can cut vinyl. At the end of the day. Jason, thank you for that, man. Really appreciate that. Really cool to see so many familiar faces in here. Crazy how long it's been since I did a last stream. But you know what I want to do with these two is I want to just have other artists come on, and whether they want to do exactly what I'm doing now, paint or just a chat, it can, depending on who it is, depending on what works best for the audience, maybe it's more of an interview where I could talk to some artists about their journey and things of that nature. I definitely want to have some people on, just for some types of live chats. I just got to figure out some of the software stuff, how to connect them and whatnot. But I think that'd be really, really cool to have some guests on. Heidelberg, I sure will. Let me go ahead and finish green tape on this shoe, and I'll read your question. Like it's Bald Boy? Yeah, I would love to have Zach on. Talk to him. I'd love to have Sean on. I've got a ton of people that I could bring on. No, Beckham, this is a Simpsons pair. I hope I get asked to do another Eminem pair. I don't know if the name of the album is Kamikaze, but I think it is, but he has an album where the album cover almost somewhat looks like a Warhawk plane. And I'm like, oh man, if I could just keep doing all the Eminem albums, that would be a sick one to do. I know that would look sick on a few pairs of shoes. Any new TV shows you started watching? My wife and I watched that show Adolescence. That's on Netflix that a lot of people were talking about, and it's about it's in the UK, and it's about a young boy is convicted of a murder, and what's so interesting about the show is there's 4 hour-long episodes, and all of them are filmed in one take. And so the camera, there's just all of this camera following it, almost like a play, but the camera literally goes from a house to then in a car to a police station, all of this stuff. It is, from a filmmaking perspective, it's one of the craziest things ever. I mean, there's some movies and stuff that have really long one takes, or there's some movies that claim to be all one take, but sometimes they're like hiding a take. They'll fade into black, go behind a black chair, whatever, do different things. But this show is really all one take, and it's remarkable, just from that perspective. As somebody, like, I enjoy, because I make YouTube videos, to some degree sort of into. I love like documentaries on how movies are made. So I just like enjoy the process of filmmaking. So to see how this show was done, it is spectacular. So highly recommend that. But that's the most recent thing I watched. Okay, Heidelberg, let's get to this one. It says, can you recommend a product that I can use to remove paint from sneakers? Maybe something from Amazon that I could order since I'm writing from Germany. If I had to guess, you can probably pick up acetone at a hardware store. I can't say with certainty if acetone is available in every country, but I believe it is. Um, Nail polish remover, but that's usually not strong enough. I don't know if you guys have access to Angelus, but they have a product called the Glazer that you can use as well. So those would be my recommendations. Jorge here says, if I'm painting the whole back tab on an Air Force One, should I mix the two soft for the stitching part? If you want it to remain soft, yes. If you're not worried about it remaining soft, because who's touching the stitching on a back tab, then you really don't need to. So, to be honest, when I do it, I don't add too soft to the paint there. I just paint right over it, and then I paint right back on top of it with the new color, and no too soft added. Tempest says, "Hey, what's up, bro? I always love a Dejesus live stream. Hope you and the family been good. Thank you so much, man. Yeah, family's all good over here. Really appreciate you tuning back in." Nick here says, "I just had my website revamped and SEO done. I also got new business cards and pamphlets made. Investing in myself, and so far it's made a huge difference. 12 calls in 2 days. Very cool, man. Congrats. Love hearing that. Love hearing that. Do you remember the cartoon Doug? Do 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 do. Of course, I love Doug. Love Doug. Are you doing the rate my customs? I literally learned everything from your vids and like my work, but can't seem to gain traction. Are you asking if I'm reviewing Instagrams today, or if I'm going to be doing another episode of reviewing your customs? Let me know which one. I missed those lives with Bald Boy. Yeah, me, Zach, and Sean. We had a good time doing those. It was just hard eventually to sync up schedules to do them. But yeah, maybe the first one can be talking with both of those blokes again. What's up, 2K Ben? How you doing, man? Tony says, "Is there any trick for painting red bottoms on Air Force Ones for lasting longer?" No, unfortunately. No, I don't recommend painting the soles. Another episode of Rate My Customs. Yes, I will be doing. I have 3 episodes coming up of reviewing your customs over the next few months. I already have all of the pairs for them, but shortly after that, as soon as those are done, I'll post over on our Instagram. Make sure you're following us there when we have some openings for upcoming episodes. So stay tuned there. Dan says, "Hey man, what's your opinion on 3D printed shoes? I've seen them all around recently and was thinking about getting some, but wanted to ask a professional before I pulled the trigger. I don't have. I honestly can't say I have seen enough of them or have seen any in person or have touched any to have an informed opinion. So right now, I unfortunately don't have a informed opinion on them." Dylan, are you on Discord yet? I just made a channel for business on there. Sure are. Yeah, we have a big Toothpick Gang Discord. I believe we have it linked in the description. If you guys aren't already in there with us, make sure you come and join. I think we have well over 1,000 people. Felix says, while you're taping around the sole of the shoe, how would you avoid paint bleed under that tape? Well, I try to press it with my finger once I sort of get it on there. So I'll just sort of go like this, and to a pretty strong degree, it will not leak under there. There will definitely be some spots, but I can get any remaining paint off, whether it's with a toothpick if it's dried up, or a Q-tip and acetone. Oh, it's not in the chat. I'll have to make sure I put it on future videos so anybody joining us for live streams can join the Discord. Spooky Grim says, "Hi, so I just ordered the Patriot Model 105. The current one I have just wasn't spitting out the paint how I would like it to. Are you switching over from a different brand airbrush, Spooky Grim, or are you replacing an old Patriot 105? Did I see the custom Tesla Nike shoes that Reshoeverminator made? I don't know. I try to watch a lot of their videos. I can't remember if I saw that one specifically. I feel like I did, but for some reason it's not coming to me right now. 2K Ben says, "What is the best tape to use when making customs?" There's a lot of great tapes out there. This green tape happens to be my favorite. This is called Scotch 2060. And I just found this one to leave the least amount of paint residue while still being plenty strong. This one just happens to work really well for me out of all the ones I've tested. I had an Iwata one that I bought from Hobby Lobby about 4 years ago. Okay, well, hey, if you got 4 years of use out of an airbrush, that's pretty good. But yeah, man, you're gonna love the Badger Patriot. It's definitely my favorite airbrush. Jorge says, "What's the difference between a cheap airbrush and an expensive airbrush?" Was thinking about getting the Iwata Eclipse HP. Yeah, the Iwata Eclipse is a super common airbrush that a lot of people get. The difference between, like, it depends what you're considering cheap and expensive. Like if you're talking about like a $15 to $20 airbrush, the ones that you can find on Amazon, all of those are going to be nothing but a headache. But I'm not sure if you're saying like an $80 airbrush is cheap versus like a $300 airbrush. I don't use a super high-end airbrush. I never have. I don't use a $300 airbrush, but I'm not trying to do like insane airbrushing like somebody, if you guys are familiar with his work, Jabo Airbrush, who does like hockey goalie mask and just truly can do insane portraits with an airbrush. I'm not doing that level of stuff. I'm essentially just base coating shoes. And so you know, I've used a Badger Patriot 105 for probably close to, it's 2025 now. We're probably getting close to almost 10 years. That's sort of been my preferred airbrush. Probably at least 8 years if I had to guess. Felix says, why not paint something white and let it bleed underneath the tape and let it dry, then apply the actual paint on the leather part, bleed free since the white part is dried, preventing the bleed. Well, I mean, the reason for that, I don't want any paint on the midsole. So even if I get white paint, the thought process is totally correct in what you're saying, Felix. So believe me, I'm not saying, I'm not discrediting the idea at all. I'm just saying I don't want, even if I were to apply white paint here to seal the tape and white paint gets on the midsole, let's just say it did match, even though it wouldn't, it would be white paint, but the midsole isn't necessarily going to be the same color as white paint. So even if I get white paint on that midsole, I'm still going to want it off. So I'm still going to either rub it off with acetone, with a toothpick, whatever the case may be. So that's why I don't do like the whole seal the tape, seal the stencil type trick just when I'm taping off the midsole. Because if you just do a good enough job, quite frankly, with your tape, you know, during this phase, you're going to have very minimal um, paint that you need to get off of the midsole. So the concept is right to try to seal it in a way to prevent, you know, paint bleeding from other colors. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Chad sends in a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Chad. Really, really, really appreciate that. Definitely goes right back into the channel. And we greatly appreciate you supporting us like that. So it says, thanks for all the info you give. Thank you so much for tuning in, Chad. That is very, very kind of you. Definitely means a lot. We greatly appreciate that. When you're prepping shoes, would you recommend a Dremel to sand? Yeah, I have. It's so funny. I've gotten a ton of, a lot of people send me links to new like mini electronic sanders and stuff to use, because when you're working on something like Dunks, Air Forces that have so many panels, it's really hard to use a big, you know, palm sander or hand sander without it, you know, just stretching across all the panels. So yeah, if you find something like that that works for you, I ended up starting to use one of those electronic sanders. Really just because I was working on so many cleats years back, and cleats tend to have less panels and stuff. So it worked to use just a bigger sander, whereas it's a lot harder if you're working on, you know, Jordans or Air Forces. So yeah, if you know, get something like a Dremel or a mini sander and that works for you, that is awesome. Colby, how you doing, man? Hey, Dylan, hope you're good. I'm making another custom inspired by one of my favorite cigars. Definitely a favorite theme for me. That's awesome, man. I look forward to hopefully seeing those. Hopefully you're doing well, buddy. Colby joined us for the last DCF experience. Got through 2 pairs of shoes. It is not that often that too many people at the class try to get through 2 pairs, but Colby was convinced on Colby set it out on day 1. He said, I'm getting through both. He did the damn thing. Nick sends in a super chat. Wow, $10. Thank you so much, Nick. Really appreciate you. Super appreciate you and everything you've done for me. That is very, very, very kind of you, Nick. Thank you for supporting us like that, man. And I am glad to help. Okay, I think we're ready for some dye on these. Let's go ahead and let's get some dye on all of these. Let me get my blue dye ready. Switch over here. Let me know what you guys have been watching, what you guys have been listening to. Mr. Measy says, I literally airbrushing my second pair of customs as I watched this with my airbrush kept clogging. Just changed to the 5mm needle. Wish me luck. You got this, man. Make sure before you try putting any paint back in there, make sure that it's just spraying water to a full capacity. You really want to make sure if it can't spray water to to sort of max capacity, it's not going to spray paint. So don't even bother putting any paint in there until you get that water flowing through there properly. You might have to break the entire thing down. You might have to soak some parts in some acetone, you know what I mean, to get her fired up again and really working. I'm going to start watching Dope Thief tonight. I heard good things. What is Dope Thief? Let me know what that is. Let me know what Dope Thief is, because I am intrigued by the name. If it's a heist show or something, it might be right up my alley. I love a good heist show. I think heist movies are like, man, am I tempted to say they might be like one of my favorite? They're definitely one of my favorite genres of movie, but I don't know if I would say they're my favorite over just horror movies in general. But I love good heist movies. All right, let's lay down some blue dye on these. I gotta look at the theme again. Make sure I don't put any dye anywhere it's not supposed to be. Okay, on the toe box. Do you buy any of the Angels Collector Edition paints? I do. Not all of them, because it quite frankly it bothers me that I can only buy them in the 1 ounces. Um, but yeah, I think like one of my favorites. I really like the Gamma Blue, and I like the Volt color. I like those a lot. As a heist movie lover, how did you feel about Endgame? That's so funny because I haven't even thought about Endgame as a heist movie, just because it's so ingrained into just superhero movies that it's hard to really put it in that category when you think of the best heist movies. But the most recent heist movie I saw was I saw Den of Thieves 2. Me and my pops went and saw that one in theaters. Liked it, didn't love it. I loved Den of Thieves 1, so we were both pretty excited, but it's got some twists and turns where me and my dad were like, "What? Huh?" But yeah, I love that first Den of Thieves. It might be in my top 5 favorite heist movies. It's up there. I don't know if it would crack the top 5. It's not a lock, like something like The Town, but it's up there. Do you use Rita? I'm using the Angelus dye. This is just the Angelus blue leather dye right now. Heat is the best heist movie. I mean, it is so hard to make a case against that. I think that I think that if I had to say which one's my favorite, I probably would say The Town. But I mean, like, does the town doesn't even exist without Heat? It's that type of thing. You know what I mean? Something about the town is just so quotable and stuff. But yeah, Heat is. I mean, come on. You've got Pacino, De Niro, Kilmer just firing on all cylinders at like the peaks of their powers and stuff, you know? I don't know if it's officially been confirmed because it's something that's been talked about forever, but I think they're making a Heat too. And I think Michael Mann's coming back. Never seen either one. Ooh, man. If those sound like movies that might be up your alley, Trell, you're in for it, man. I'd love to be able to watch Heat for the first time. I saw Heat in the theater with my stepdad when I was a little kid. Shows how old I am. Oh man, that would be awesome to see in theaters. I don't know if my dad's here in the chat because I haven't seen him. Um, but I'm gonna have to ask my dad if he got to see Heat in theaters. I mean, I would have been like 3 at the time, so that might have been the 90s might have been hard for my dad to get to the theaters by himself. Heat doesn't seem like a movie he would take my mom to, so I don't know if he got to see Heat in theaters or not. But did you know that Heat was a remake of a made-for-TV movie? They got a bigger budget and did it right on the second. Really? What was the movie? I did not know that. Did not know that one. Mr. Measy said it. Yeah, I think I was using the wrong needle. I clean it after every coat. Have thinners just clogged after a few minutes of consistent spray. Yep. Yeah, if you're using like a point 0.3 or something, that might just be too hard for the paint to get through, depending on what your compressor setup is and stuff as well. Oh, so it was a Michael Mann made for TV movie, and he just oh no way. I didn't know that. What up, Chris? How you doing, man? Dylan, are you using OBS? I am. I am. Have you ever mixed dyes for a custom color specifically for dyeing the soles? I have, Jason. If you take a look at let me just show a picture of them. But I kind of showed it in a video of the without the M&M without me dunks. That pair had I wanted them to be kind of greenish, not just like an aged yellow. Excuse me, an aged yellow. I put a little green into the sole here. But yeah, on this pair, you can kind of see it. Living the dream, baby. I hear you, man. Hope little baby Kylo's doing good. Hopefully we see you guys again soon too, man. Do you just put the Angel's dye on the shoe with no steps beforehand? These shoes were prepped. I prepped them earlier today. They were dressed in Juggernaut type. I'm gonna have to look that up, man. I had no idea that Heat was based off a remake, off a TV movie. That is like, I mean, I adore Heat, so I don't know how I've never heard that before. Felix says, "Do you apply paint with paintbrush first before using airbrush, or how do you make the paint look more streak free?" Yes. If you, I never do like, let's just say I was gonna airbrush this shoe. I will never do just like 5 coats of pure airbrushing and leave that as like the final look. I will always do at least 1 coat by hand with a paintbrush. And there's a few different reasons that I do that. One, because you apply more paint with an airbrush, with a paintbrush, than you do with an airbrush. So you're going to, like, it's going to make your painting look a little bit more solid. Now, you could, when you hear that, you might say, well, why don't I just paint the whole thing by hand if it's just going to make it look more solid? Because I do think you can get a little bit of a cleaner, thinner look with an airbrush. So I definitely prefer that. But the biggest reason is because if you have to do any touch ups, it's almost impossible to touch up completely airbrushed panels by hand. So let's just say I was airbrushing a shoe and I had to do 5 layers. I'm going to do one of the layers at least completely with a paintbrush. All right, guys, I probably will go about another 10 minutes or so. We'll go another 10 minutes or so. Rico Suave, how you doing, man? I got 2 pairs going right now. This pair is going to be a USA Olympic men's basketball, like the 92 Dream Team type theme. And then I have another pair here that's going to be a Simpsons theme. So we're just hanging out today. I was doing some taping, starting to lay down some dye on this pair where I'm going to be doing navy blue. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. How many people we got here in the chat right now? Let me refresh my browser. Let me see. Let me make sure these likes are catching up to how many people we got here. What do we got? We got 51 watching. We got 37 likes. I'm gonna need you guys hook me up. Take care of me, guys. Let's go ahead, drop a like if you haven't already. Please. Please. Dylan, are you going to put a coat of blue paint over the blue dye? I am. Yeah, I don't ever use dye as like a finished look for anything. Like, so even if this shade of like royal blue was the final color, I would never leave that as the finished look. I'm always going to apply paint on top. But yeah, this is just so that if this pair, when these get worn, if they're to crack anywhere, especially here on the toe box, since it's ultimately going to be navy blue, at least I'll know that I have some blue dye underneath in theory. Nomad, how you doing, man? Robert says, do you ever do in-person reviews? Like, can I hand you a pair to review? I do, yeah. So our show, Reviewing Your Customs, I think we're up to 20-ish episodes. That's where I review shoes, on camera. Do you rub the dye with acetone to get rid of the excess? Yep. You burn the dye in too, so then it's really not going anywhere. I think some of these panels are going to be blue. I got to look at the mock-up. Let me see if I can apply some blue dye to these. I want that dye to be a lot lighter. I'd love to let you review a pair if possible. How do I do that? Yeah, make sure you follow us over on Instagram. That's where we announce anytime we have openings for reviews. And I have a few episodes coming up of reviewing your customs. So I have like the next 3 episodes filled, but after that we'll be taking on some new submissions. So Chief says, if you were to paint Jordan 11s, what would you put over the paint to get that patent leather look back? Yeah, so to be honest, I don't paint patent leather just because it will crack on you, really, regardless of prep, regardless of dye. That's just my opinion. Um, I don't ever want to put something that I know, like in my opinion, patent leather is always going to crack no matter what I do. So I don't ever want to apply paint to something that I know is bound to fail. So I don't think I've really found any gloss that is quite as strong as true patent leather. Um, the Angelus 4-coat high gloss is pretty good. It's definitely not going to get you that patent leather look. Um, the Liquid Kicks high gloss is pretty good. Not going to get you quite that same thing. There's a Treehouse high gloss acrylic spray, and I have found that to be the glossiest. Um, but you kind of have to apply a lot, and therefore that's probably even more likely to make it crack. What do you mean burn the dye into the shoe? So I'll show you here on this one. Let's see. So let me show you here. Let me grab my acetone. Burn the dye is just like a weird term that I use, but you know how, like, let's pretend this was royal blue paint. And if I were to take a Q-tip and acetone and go over blue paint, what would happen? All of it would come off, right? But watch what happens when I do it with the dye. It doesn't come off. You see, it kind of is just going to burn itself into the leather. So now you know this dye really isn't going anywhere. So I'll just take a Q-tip and acetone and go over all of the different parts. And that's kind of burning it in. Oh, Nick here says burnishing, I think is the word done. You know what? That sounds a heck of a lot better, Nick. Uh, um, while I was painting on the shoes in public, I've had people giving me compliments and questions about them, about the shoes, and asked how long would the paint last. I didn't know what to answer. It's not a question that has a direct correct answer, because it's not like the answer is 4 days, or it's not like the answer is 4 months or 1 day or 1 hour. There's not one direct answer. It depends on 5 million factors. It depends on what shoes are you painting, what material are they, what is the design you're doing, are you painting them correctly. um you know, a binary answer of, oh, are these shoes meant to be worn or are these just for display, might be a little easier to answer. Again, that also depends on the design. Can these be worn? Yes. Can these, are these made just for display? No. um but how will they hold up totally depends on how the user wears them, what the design is. Let's just say, for example here, let's pretend that this shoe is all black and I decided I wanted to paint the toe box completely neon yellow. And let's just say I did it and it took me 12 coats. And let's just say I have this white shoe here and I wanted to just paint it royal blue and I got it done in 4 coats. Both shoes were painted following similar processes. Yes, this one has a lot more paint on it, but one of them's way more wearable than the other. Despite, without anybody knowing, just walking by on the street, they might not know how long either of them took. So this shoe that was all black and now I painted neon yellow isn't really wearable, but this one over here is. So it's a really hard question to answer. Carlos says, I just bought industrial acetone. Would that be okay to use on my shoes? It sure would. Sure would. Yeah. Okay, guys. Let's go rapid fire here. We're at the end. I'll answer any questions that you guys have for the next few minutes, and then I will be calling it a day. So go ahead. Let me know what questions you guys have. I need to put some water in my... Oh, that's up here. Clean out my brushes. But, let me know what questions you guys have, and we will be calling it a day here shortly. Let's see. Felix says, I was painting a Jordan 1 high top, all white, with one-piece gear, 5 theme. Angela's painted leather paint and used foil coat bottle to finalize it. Is the answer, are they wearable? Maybe. It depends how you painted them. If you followed the right steps, how you prepped them, how many layers you ended up doing. There's so many factors into it that can I just blanket say, yes, they are wearable? If you followed all the right steps, yes, you know. But is it possible that those could crack depending on what was or wasn't done to them? That's a possibility as well. So I want to just give the answer yes, but I don't want to go astray. So oh, whoops, I didn't even mean to oh, I got to change the battery real quick. Let me we'll just go to my webcam for the final couple minutes here, guys. Give me a sec. Switch, let's go to here. Yeah. Let's just do this for the last couple minutes. How many coats of paint do you use for cleats? It depends on the color you're trying to do, and it depends on the base color of the cleat. So just generally speaking, I want to try to be somewhere around 4 to 6 coats. But if you have an all black cleat and you're trying to paint it neon yellow, can you get there in 6 coats? You can't. So does that mean that you probably shouldn't take a all black cleat and try to paint it neon yellow? Yes, that does mean you should try to avoid that. So is it okay to use Rust-Oleum adhesion promoter that says automotive fiber on the can versus the one that just says primer? Yes, that should be fine. What's that theme song from? It's funny, I didn't even mean to click that this scene on OBS, but that is a song from an artist named Liquid. So I use something called Artlist for copyright-free music for YouTube videos and stuff, and I use this artist named Liquid for a lot of stuff. Where do you get the print for luxury customs for cleats? Are you talking about to make a stencil with, or are you asking if you are adding a fabric? Let me know, Davis. Let me know, and I'll try to answer. I use stencils cut with a Cricut. Do I just put a coat of light gray underneath the entire shoe before laying down the stencils? I've had issues with stencils pulling up the paint when removing them. Robert, I might be misunderstanding, but I'm not sure where or why you're talking about using the light gray. Underneath the entire shoe before laying down the stencils. If you want the stencils to be light gray, you would paint it all entirely light gray first. But yeah, let me know, Robert. If your paint is peeling, you probably didn't prep them enough, or maybe when you went to paint them, you might have applied the paint too thick or didn't allow enough dry time, or you're using a bad vinyl. Those would be the first things to look at. Paul says this may have been answered already, but what's the best way to paint over a dark background? For example, painting pink over black. What I like to do is paint light gray first, because I think light gray works as a really good base to cover up dark colors. And then on top of that light gray, I would paint something like mist, which is just like kind of half white, half light gray. And then once you're at that sort of mist, kind of whitish color, then you can start to build up towards pink. I saw your custom Gucci cleats really inspired me. So you're just referring to the stencil, and the question was, where do you get the print for luxury customs? Most of the time, you can just Google like Gucci print stencil, and then cut that as a stencil with your Cricut or Silhouette. for most of them, you can find it. You might have to do some digital work. You might have to keep looking to find like a good file sometimes. But yeah. Thank you, leaderboard. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you tuning in. Thank you. Thank you. How can I keep the paint from fading on fabric? Too soft paint mix or RIT dye preferred? I prefer paint because then you can really get a clean, even look. With dye, sometimes it's a little bit harder to control like how even it turns out. So I prefer the dye or the too soft in paint mix, and then you can use something like a Krylon matte spray to really keep it. I have some fabric like roast shoes that I've worn for years, and they've held up really well. Paul says, also just want to say that I just started customizing and all your videos are a huge help. Thank you, man. That's awesome to hear. Thank you. Thank you. Discord info. Let me go ahead and post the Discord here in the chat so you guys can come and join us. Let's see. Discord. The Toothpick Gang Discord. Invite. Copy link. Let me get that posted here in the chat. All right, guys. I am I'll get out of your hair shortly. Please, if you haven't already, go ahead, drop a like on the video. I just posted in the chat as well. Come and join us over in the Discord. And yeah, like even if I'm not able to, there's a ton of active people in there that can answer any questions and whatnot. So it's another great resource to have. Talk to people doing this crazy craft as well. So, all right, guys, that is going to be it for me. Really, really, really appreciate you guys tuning in. I definitely want to do some more live streams this year. So hopefully I will we'll try to make these a bit more regular. Like I said, I want to bring some people on, interview some other artists, or hang out, paint with me as well. So appreciate you guys joining me for this one, and hopefully you guys have a great